G'day guys, welcome to this episode of Aussie English, the number one podcast for anyone and everyone wanting to learn Australian English. And in this interview episode specifically for anyone wanting to learn about how to get a job, how to buy food, cost of living in Australia, everything for students and new arrivals to Australia, okay? So remember guys, if you would like the transcript for this episode as well as all of the other episodes, you can get access to every single transcript and MP3. You can download these when you sign up via the Aussie English Podcast.com. You will see the word sign up in the menu, click that, and then it is just a small fee per month if you would like access. Also, don't forget guys, if you want to take your English to the next level, this podcast is brought to you by the Aussie English Classroom, an online learning environment with quizzes, with videos, with MP3s, all the bonus content for anyone interested in taking their English to the next level. And you can try that at theaussieenglishclassroom.com. It is just $1 for your first month. Go over there and give it a go. Anyway, today's episode is an interview episode, guys. And I have a special set of guests, not just one guest. I have two guests for you today in this interview. The first is David and the second is Jocelyn. And these guys are the team at Melbourne Vibe. Now, Melbourne Vibe I found on YouTube, and these guys are a startup, obviously set up in Melbourne, down in the southeast of Australia, and these guys produce awesome videos. They're taking off on YouTube at the moment, and the videos are all about being overseas students in Australia. So if you are currently an overseas student, you're living in Australia, you want to find out where you can work, you want to find out about which cities you can live in, how to rent somewhere, the kinds of prices you'll have to pay for renting, where to find food, all of those kinds of pieces of information for people living in Australia at the moment in these different cities. This channel and Melbourne Vibe, the startup, is just a brilliant resource for you. So I want to say a massive thank you to both David and Jocelyn for coming on today's podcast. It is full of so much good information that is going to make the lives of a lot of you guys listening to this podcast easier if you're trying to find work, food, somewhere to live, all of that sort of stuff. So anyway, guys, without any further ado, let's get into it. Jocelyn, David from Melbourne Vibe, thank you so much. Let's go. G'day guys, welcome to this episode of Aussie English. Today I have Dave and Jocelyn from Melbourne Vibe, a YouTube channel that I found recently that's sort of become my secret little addiction. Dave and Jocelyn, welcome. How did you guys get started?
Well, how did we get started? Basically, there was a gap in the market and there wasn't that many videos that were catering to international students, and we played around with a few different things like travel and, vlogs and things like that, and we just kind of, I guess, fell into this one.
Yeah, pretty much. And these are the things that a lot of people that look for. They're coming here, and there's so many people coming to Australia. So, I mean, there was nothing there. Like I myself, before coming here, was looking for these things, and it wasn't there. So, we just decided that why not just make it?
Exactly. So what were you left with, Dave, and when did you get to Australia? Do you want to talk a bit about that story and how you discovered all these things on your own before there was a resource for you to, search for and get this information?
Yeah, so I'm in my third semester at Monash University. So I'm doing my Master's of Business there. And I came here like last June. And when I was coming here, before coming here, obviously I was looking for things like, how is Australia, and how are people, and what's the weather like, or all the basic questions that a lot of people that are coming here, they would have. So I was just looking for it, and there weren't much things. Like if you talk about the United States, there are a lot of things that, by each state you would get to know. But in Australia, particularly, there weren't videos. And these days, a lot of people don't want to read like pages and pages. So,
Exactly. I'm one of those people. I'm always like, I open an article and I'm like, oh my God, more than 500 words, can't be bothered.
Yeah. So that was pretty much it. And they're like, it's pretty surprising. Students from almost 200 countries come to Australia every year.
Yeah.
So, it's amazing. And then we just started, and in a month or two, the response that we got was pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, that's it. I definitely noticed that. But I mean, how did you guys meet too? And how did you come up with this idea together? Or was it something one of you was doing beforehand and you just decided we're going to work better as a team? Or?
Well, basically, so I already had a YouTube channel. I just stopped uploading. I was originally a makeup artist, and then I started uploading makeup tutorials and things like that, back in the day, 2014, 2015, when it was really popular. And then I've also got a background in photography as well. So I had all the equipment and everything, and I knew how YouTube worked and social media and things like that. Then I actually went to India, and when I came back, I met Dave, and we started talking randomly at a party, and he also had an interest in photography. So then we just basically kept talking, and he's wanted to do YouTube and things like that, and he already sort of had an idea of where he wanted to take things, and obviously, like, I had that sort of technical background and everything, so we just kept brainstorming, and this is what happened.
So what was it step by step? I guess for any of the listeners right now thinking, I want to start a YouTube channel. How did you go through that process and how did you get started? Did you just jump in and you were like, look, it's going to be quick and dirty to begin with, but we'll just give it a go and see what happens and get better as we go? Or did you fully plan things out and try and make it as professional as possible from the beginning?
I'd say we planned and researched a lot. Like I said, I already had the technical and sort of experience in YouTube, and I had somewhat grown a channel. I also had friends that are doing really, really well on YouTube with their full-time jobs, so I had that support. But in saying that, it came down to knowledge about SEO and basically the knowledge that we had in the videos, so making sure that obviously we had all the information for the particular videos, and then I don't really know what I'm trying to say, to be honest.
No, I know what you mean.
It came down to SEO.
I think the most important part to somebody who's actually want to start a YouTube channel is, think of an idea, shortlist it, and just go for it.
Yeah.
You never know whether it's going to be successful, it's not going to be successful, but you don't do it to make it successful. You do it because it's your hobby.
Exactly.
So just do it that way, because a lot of people, I think there are around 22 million YouTube channels these days.
Probably.
Yeah, but the important part is the consistency, like the way you keep uploading, your new language lessons that we have been learning. I mean, it's pretty cool. So that's what you have to do. That's consistency is the key, I think.
I know, it does feel like throwing shit at a wall quite often, where you just like, I keep having to just keep doing it, and eventually, something random will happen and suddenly people will find it. But yeah, you can sort of nail, or I guess cut down on the buying lottery tickets kind of style of making videos when you can implement really good SEO. And I definitely learnt that the hard way after probably a year of doing really, really bad search engine optimization. And then finally sort of having friends go, maybe you should try this. And that made a huge difference. So
Sure.
Crazy. Well, what have you, some of the videos that I liked that I really wanted to chat to you about was, cities around Australia and things like cost of living and, I guess lifestyle. If I was a foreign student thinking of coming to Australia and I came to you guys and said, okay, I want to study at university, could be anything, but which city would you recommend if I could live anywhere in Australia, and why?
So what would we recommend to those people? Like,
Exactly.
What is our city?
Yeah. Melbourne.
I mean, I'm biased. I'm going to say, we're biased. Melbourne, obviously.
Why Melbourne then? Why Melbourne? I'm sure people always say that because they will hear all the time, Melbourne, Melbourne, Melbourne. What makes Melbourne so much better than everywhere else in Australia? And then what's the number two?
So for me, I actually come from New South Wales. So
Yep.
I was about 4 hours away from Sydney itself. So I lived on the coast and it was beautiful. And I love New South Wales beaches and the bush and everything. But when it comes to Melbourne, there's just a totally different atmosphere and there's so much more culture here. There's a whole art scene, which I'm really into as well. So personally for me, I feel like I fit in better here in that respect because there's just more things for me to do, more of my interests that are based here. And it's just, I think it's a more relaxed city. And for me, I feel like it's easier to get around, but I'm in the city basically 24/7, so I'm just on trams and things like that, you know. So then I guess I would sort of, if you want a really relaxed lifestyle, obviously then you've got Brisbane. It's a lot more quieter. It's basically like a country town, to be honest.
Yeah. See, I've been there to pass through, but never actually kind of hung out and, you know, spent some time getting to know the place.
I've only gone sort of like holidays and things like that, but people that I know that have lived there on long term, they really get to know the community and everyone around there. So if you want that community and you want that small town and you want to know pretty much everyone who's anyone, then Brisbane's, you know, the place to go. And then I guess coming in third for me would be Sydney. The only reason coming in third is because for me it's just too big. Yeah. Like, it's crazy. And for me, the traffic, I can't deal with it. I just cannot, like that.
Yeah. I found that recently. My girlfriend and I drove in for the weekend to go to some restaurants, and we saw 3 accidents in a single day, and I've never experienced that, where a car had, and it wasn't like big accidents, it was just they'd gone into the back of someone. That same accident I kept seeing, I couldn't believe it, 3 times, and I was like, I never see this in Melbourne, so I don't know if these guys are just like overly aggressive, if this was a chance thing, but it definitely did feel a lot more claustrophobic too. I don't know if it's like, everything's very close in, there's nowhere to park, it seemed crazy, but it is very beautiful there. But what about you? Sorry?
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say I'm taking Dave and his friends to Sydney this weekend. So it's
really?
their first time, so it's going to be really interesting.
And what are you planning to see? Are you planning to go to restaurants? Are you planning to just see the sights? Or
as much as possible. Like, obviously all the touristy things like Sydney Opera House and then the Sydney Harbour Bridge. We'll be staying on the beach, so they'll get to see like the Bronte to Bondi walk and everything like that. So
brilliant. And so what about you, Dave? What was your experience coming to Australia? And obviously you ended up in Melbourne. Did you start in Melbourne?
Yeah, I pretty much started in Melbourne, but I have friends all around the country. So because like whenever we make a video, we obviously talk to somebody who has lived there, like who knows everything there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I like Melbourne, and I had heard that it has come 8 times straight the best city to live in and everything. But I don't know, like, why do not people complain about the weather here? I just cannot deal with it.
Yeah, the weather, you can't deal with it. Was it a shock? Were you expecting it to be pretty...
I was not expecting it. I was not. I mean, think about it. Any commercial about Australia, what is shown? It is shown that it's sunny. Yeah. There are beautiful beaches. Yeah. It's amazing. Nobody ever talks how cold that is.
Yeah, that's pretty surprising. I think too, we just moved to Canberra, so we've been here for maybe 3 months now. And aside from it getting pretty cold at night, I was really shocked with just the consistency of the weather, to be honest. It was kind of like reverse shock for me, because I'm used to Melbourne. I'm like, okay, it's going to be cold in the morning. It's going to probably get hot when the sun comes out. It might rain, and then it's probably going to be cold again. But in Canberra, it was like, even when it was cold, you walk outside and there's no clouds, and the sun just burns you, and you're like, oh, okay, well, it's like this for the rest of the day. But yeah, it definitely is pretty funny. So have you ever traveled around Australia as well, much in your time whilst you've been here?
I've traveled around Melbourne, but Melbourne is pretty much where I've been based. So next thing would be Sydney this weekend.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Well, I hope it goes well. And how did you find, I guess, too, talking about acclimating to the language here in Australia? How did that go? And was it a tough experience, or did you come prepared, or?
I definitely did not come prepared. If I talk about myself, I think it was my second day in Australia, and then somebody was showing me around, and they just took me to some mall. And they just greeted, and they must have said like, how you going? And I had no idea what they said. I'm like, I was staring at them for 2 seconds. Then I'm like, this is going to get awkward. So I'm just going to smile and leave.
Man. I came up with the best response. My girlfriend, we were walking, she's Brazilian. So we were walking into Safeway the other day, and there was a guy there who must have been from somewhere in Southeast Asia working there. And he walked up to us, and he was just like, he said something like, and I just had no idea what he said. And I'm just like, that's it. And the guy just started laughing and was like, yeah, man. And we walked off. My girlfriend's looked at me and she's like, what the hell did he say? And I'm like, I have no idea. But if you just point at them and say, that's it. It doesn't matter if it's a question. It doesn't matter what it is. Crazy. So did it take long to get used to the slang?
I mean, it pretty much did. I don't really understand a lot of slangs, but because a lot of people that come here, they are pretty comfortable with English. So that obviously you're going to be able to communicate well, and it's not going to be a major issue. But when it comes to like really Australian language, those slangs and everything, then, it just goes top of my head. Like, I don't get it at all.
I think it's one of those things. It takes time. You have to not really think all of your English is going to require you to understand every single slang word. It's kind of like context will give it away, or you can just ask someone and they'll be like, anyone who keeps using too much slang with a person who's clearly from overseas too is just an asshole, right? Like, especially if they can see you don't understand and they keep doing it. It's kind of. So what about you, Jocelyn? How have you gone with learning Australian English? Obviously you're a native. You've been doing this a while.
Yeah, obviously grown up, born and bred.
Do you have advice for students or foreigners like Dave coming over here that would better prepare them for the language and the differences they may experience compared to the US or the UK?
I don't think there's much you can do to prepare yourself for particularly Australian slang. It's something that you'll just learn once you get here, but the more people you talk to and the more open you are to meeting people, you'll just start to get used to it. And obviously people understand that you're not from the country. So if you're just like, what does that mean? You're not going to look like an idiot, because like we talk, like some of the stuff I don't even understand. Sometimes I go to other states and I'm like, I don't even know what that means. And I'm from this country. Like, what are you talking about?
I think it was a rude awakening for me when I finished high school and left Geelong. And then I remember, I think we went somewhere interstate and someone was talking about togs. And I was like, what the hell are togs? Yeah, they're swimmers. And I was like, oh my God, bathers. Jesus, bathers. But now I use togs all the time. And I'm just like, oh yeah, togs, of course, like it's so funny that you kind of absorb these things all the time. Oh, crazy. And so what about, getting used to uni life here in Australia? I saw that you had a lot of videos talking about paying for university fees, finding a university. Do you have any advice for students who are thinking about coming to Australia or who may already be here with regards to just setting up their lives as students in Australia?
Yeah, so primary thing that I think benefited me was that I was very open to talk to people from all over the world. And that's one thing that I would want everybody to do. What happens is that because you don't have family here, you may have come out of your house for the first time, in a different country, you don't know anyone. So you try to stick with people of your country.
Exactly.
Indians would be with Indians and South Asian, all the countries. It's just more comfortable because you can talk to your language. You're a little bit homesick, which you don't want to accept. And so I would just say that just have more friends from all over the world. Because it's just amazing, fascinating to know everything, to know different cultures, to just gel with other people. And once you start doing that, another thing that you don't even consciously do, but you're going to network like crazy.
Yeah.
So, and that's going to come handy so much.
So is that how you guys obviously met too? You were putting yourself out there, getting, social and going to events, and you guys obviously met as a result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Melbourne Vibe is the result, I suppose.
Yeah. What kind of activities or events would you suggest people do then? Because I know, if tomorrow I move to, say, Sri Lanka or to Africa or something, I would be thinking, I have no idea about what activities to do here. I'm just going to look for Australians or people who speak English. Obviously, if you want people to avoid doing that, what can they do in order to try and do that as seamlessly as possible without it being, really traumatic?
Yeah, I think the easiest is going to be is if they're a student, they have the university.
They're forced to meet other students.
Yeah, there are going to be students from all over the world. So that is the easiest. And, so I always tell everybody, like when you go to university and when you graduate, you should have 5 people that you should count on, that's going to be there even when you die.
Yeah.
So those 5 things, those 5 people you should care about, you should have in your life.
And make sure they're not from your home country.
Yeah, exactly. And that should be from different countries.
Maybe you can have one. You're allowed one from your own home country that you can talk with in your native language in breaks when it's just you two.
Yeah.
So would you put a lot of emphasis, though, on having native speakers as your friends if you want to improve your English, or is having people who don't speak your mother tongue but speak English as friends just as good because it still forces you to be using English all the time?
Yeah, so if you want to be good, if anybody who wants to be good at English, they shouldn't have the best friend who's Australian because their English is going to get stuck.
Why is that? Why is that?
That's just a joke.
Could be true.
No, but definitely they should not talk. Even when they are with their people from their country, they should make sure that they talk in English because it's just about being comfortable with that language. So when you reach a level, when you start thinking in English, that's when you're going to get comfortable speaking. And it's very difficult.
Was that something you had to sort of build over time, build that confidence, or did you just come in all guns blazing and you were like, I don't care, I'm just going to put myself out there? Or is it something you just have to be obviously conscious of growing over time?
I think even myself, I was very conscious. Like if I have to talk to anyone, like I have to walk and talk to anybody you say, I don't think I still can do it. Like I can if I need something from them or if I have something to talk about, but it's just like, hey, what's up? What's your name? That's something that is really difficult.
Yeah.
So, but it starts from there. You have to put out there. Not everybody's going to respond to you well. But, it's just practice. You're going to learn, you're going to understand what to say, when to say, how to present yourself, how to market yourself.
Yeah.
And that only comes with practice. You cannot read it. You cannot watch any YouTube videos. I mean, you can learn a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you want to master it, you have to practice.
Well, I'm always saying that with if you want to run a marathon, you don't learn on YouTube. I mean, you can get tips, but you ultimately have to do the running. You have to do the time on the road. And it's the same with any language, I think, where you just have to keep doing it. But yeah, that's awesome. Jocelyn, I've got a question for you. With regards to Australia compared to the US, Canada, Britain, New Zealand, what would you say, obviously from a biased point of view, are the reasons you should choose Australia compared to those other countries for studying or living abroad?
Why should
I mean, you can go to new beaches for 27 years straight and you're not beating a beach.
Is that like once a day, is it? If you go to one new beach a day, you've got to take 27 years or something, is it?
Literally. That's what brought me here. And then I came to Melbourne and I realized I cannot even go to swim. It's so cold.
Yeah. When there's sharks, right?
Yeah.
I think, honestly, just being able to travel so freely in Australia, obviously the road trips, the country itself, and the people are amazing, and I love Australia.
So what would you say people don't expect, though? Are there any things you would warn people about when they come to Australia? Are there any things that most people get shocked about that they had no idea about before getting here?
That we have so many metropolitan areas. People seem to think they come here and it's like the middle of nowhere, or again, the weather. So many people have said to me, why is Melbourne so cold? Where is the summer? It's we get 3 months of summer, guys. You got to go to Brisbane.
And it's 40 degrees on, several of those days. So it gets hot, but it still sucks. Yeah.
Exactly. So I just don't think I expect a lot of that.
I think another reason why, because I personally, before coming to Australia, I was looking at different countries and I was 99% sure that I was going to go to United States.
Yep.
And then Trump happened, literally. And that's it. I'm not going there. So
that wasn't so much that you were unable to go there. Did you just see that and you were like, nah, not doing it?
Yeah, I have the visa. I can go today. But the point is that it's just that Australia is, if you think about it, United States, Europe, Australia is still growing and growing quite fast. So that's exactly why a lot of people from all over the world wants to come to Australia. Canada is growing as well, but then Canada comes that they don't even get 3 months of summer that we get here. So, and you need that. You want to go to the beach. You want to just stay there, chill for a weekend. All the things that you want. It's just quality life here. So, and it's just, Australia has pretty much everything. If you want a little bit chilled yet fast life, you come to Melbourne. You want really fast life, you go to Sydney. You want chill, life, good weather, amazing. You go to Brisbane, and there's so much to do. So I think Australia has been pretty much on top 3 countries that people want to go to, even to stay, to study, for anything.
And are you thinking about staying here long term after you finish studying, or would you like to live elsewhere or go home, or what is it sort of like from a student's perspective? And is it easier to get PR and citizenship if you were wanting to stay here than, say, America or Canada?
So based on our research, and obviously we are not, you have to give any advice regarding immigration. It's you have to be authorized, but we're not. And personally, I'm not very sure if I want to live in Australia, because the reason I wanted to come to Australia was to explore. Yeah. And there's so much, and the world is so huge. So I wouldn't be able to say that, I want to live here or not. And in fact, so I come from India, and India is so diverse and so amazing. So if I have to go back and live in my country, I would be, more than happy there.
Yeah.
But thinking about it, I think I personally would. And a lot of people who are thinking that they just want to go to Australia, you guys come to Australia, it's great. But also, main thing that anybody comes to Australia should have is an open mind towards everything. Like think about what you have been doing, like these languages, listening to 50 sentences every day, like learning these things, that takes a lot. And that happens when you want to do something new, when you want to grind.
Exactly.
So that's so amazing. That's the thing that I think everybody should have, an open mind to learn things.
So do you think, in your experience too, Jocelyn, have you met people where they tend to do a lot better if they do have an open mind and are a lot more sort of open to opportunities, as opposed to, this is what I'm doing and I'm not deviating from that path at all?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like, going back to the English thing as well, like, I've seen so many people that have come from overseas just grow so intensely with their language themselves, like just, hanging out with English-speaking people or just forcing them and their friends to speak English. And then even with myself, just in career and everything, like when I started, I was like, this is what I want, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going.
Yeah.
And I wasn't opening myself to other opportunities. And then the last, couple of years, I've been like, no, like, I have to stop doing that. And so many things have grown from that, including obviously Melbourne Vibe and meeting so many more people. And yeah, so I agree, definitely, like, open up yourself to as many possibilities as you can, because you'll definitely grow like tenfold.
And switching now onto cost of living in Australia, how does that compare? Because you guys have done quite a few awesome videos comparing the different cities in Australia and the cost of living in these different cities, which I really recommend anyone listening. If you're thinking about coming to Australia, check out these Melbourne Vibe videos on the different cities. When you were doing that, did you find anything that surprised you? And what is the sort of, I guess, average cost of living? Does it vary a lot? Could you talk a bit about how it differs between cities in Australia?
I mean, the most variation is going to be your accommodation.
Yeah.
Like, that is where it's really going to get you. So obviously, if you're looking at Sydney, that's one of the most, I think it is the most expensive city in Australia by a lot.
Canberra's catching up.
Yeah, Canberra is crazy. All the politicians, they're buying out all the houses probably.
Man, we got here and we went to some inspections that had 100 people inspecting this, like, crack dens, like horrible houses. Yeah. And the rent for our little room, which is this tiny room we can't fit a desk in, is $350 a week for two of us.
Yeah, I used to live in Canberra.
That's
even
insane.
Like 10 years ago, it was, stupid amounts of money for a studio apartment. I'm paying half in Melbourne that I was 10 years ago in Canberra, and I get more in Melbourne.
I left Melbourne thinking, oh my gosh, this is one of the most expensive places in Australia. I can't wait to get elsewhere and save money. And it was like, wrong.
Not unless you're making twice as much money.
Okay, so it's going to be accommodation between these places. And can you offset that though? Even if you look these numbers up and you see, okay, oh God, like Melbourne's $600 a month to maybe $900 depending on where you want to live. Is it easy to offset that with working as well? I remember I just saw a video from you, David, talking about making up to $3,000 a month, right, from 20 hours of work. So obviously, if you do the right hunting, you can actually make enough money as even a foreign student to cover costs by a mile.
So one video that we are coming up with, and that blew our mind, that is something that we have never heard, is I was talking to somebody who grabbed a job for $55,000 a year, and she only has to work 20 hours a week. And that is unbelievable. I still cannot digest that.
What job is that? Can you tell us? I'll put my hand up. Sorry, she's a...
So it's part of her degree. So she's doing part-time work for a project management company. So she's actually able to study a master's. Yeah, she's studying a master's, but she's already got some form of work experience. So that obviously helped her.
Wow.
So I guess the advice would be, if you have a degree behind you, find companies that you can try and work part-time for, because you're going to earn half the wage, which obviously when you have a degree in Australia, your wages are going to generally be higher than working in hospitality or as a delivery driver or anything like that.
And you're pretty much set up for a job once you graduate, right?
Exactly. It's obviously harder in the beginning to try and get those jobs. Once you lock something in, then it's just going to set you up for the next 20 years.
Wow.
Or however long you want to stay.
And I think important part is that, like, if it comes to work, because students can work for only 20 hours. Or even in future, even if you can work for 50 hours, 60 hours, just work your ass off. That's what happens. A lot of people just don't do that.
Yeah, and that's it. They want a free ride, right?
Yeah, so they're like, when I'm getting my promotion, but you're not putting enough hours, mate. So, that's what you have to do. So even if as a student somebody gets at 20 hours, then make sure you work for 30 hours in those 20 hours. So
Don't just go there, cruise along, take your paycheck home and think, I did a good job, but put the effort in and try and build the relationships or show them that maybe after you finish studying, you're worth hiring.
Yeah.
And so what else was it like? If accommodation's obviously really expensive, and that's the biggest thing people need to worry about, obviously after they've paid for their degree, assuming they've paid for that up front, what are the other things that they should factor into cost of living in Australia?
I think obviously putting aside the essentials like eating and accommodation and utilities, things like that. Like we mentioned all of that on our videos. So a student can generally live around $1,000 to $1,500 a month, depending on, how they choose to live. Obviously, as a student, you don't need that much. So we always recommend, share your room, share as much as you can. You're barely going to be there anyway. So there's
prioritize, right?
Yeah, exactly. And even I work full time, and I even cut on costs because I want to save for my future as well.
Exactly.
So, prioritize. But I think the biggest thing is when you do come to a new country, you want to experience that country as well and travel. So that's going to be another big expense for you. So obviously working, 3 to 6 months and then wanting to go and travel in your university breaks, it can set you back a couple of grand just traveling around Australia itself. Which is crazy, and I think a lot of people don't realize that when they come here.
So they sort of come empty-handed, expecting they can do everything, but then realize...
Yeah, obviously traveling around in your own city, there's so much you can do in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide, wherever you end up, so much you can do for free. But obviously once you start looking at traveling to different states, then it's going to get quite expensive.
So maybe also factor in, okay, where do I want to go and visit in Australia as a holiday or as a tourist? And maybe think about cities that are close to that location so that you can just peek your head out on the weekends as opposed to having to take an interstate flight.
Yeah, exactly. And as you probably know, that flights in Australia are not cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cheaper to go to Bali than it is to go to Sydney. So.
Oh, awesome. So overall, you should be able to live off about 1,000, maybe 1,500 if you're a bit extravagant a month. And how much you're expecting to make? Even the lower end, I think I remember from your video, David, was even if you're on $15 an hour, 20 hours a week, that's 450. What's that? 900 a fortnight. So about $1,800. And that's the lowest end. So as long as you can find a job as a waiter or something somewhere, you should be easily able to make the money that's required for all of your living expenses and a bit to save to travel, right?
Yeah, 100%. So students generally get jobs of $20 an hour, and they can work for 20 hours. So that is $400 a week.
Yeah. So
that's around $1,600 to $2,000. So what you said was right. So that's what they can. And the things that we say in our videos is it's very we ask people not to spend a lot of money, because this is the time. If a student is watching, this is a time when you can save money.
Yeah.
This is the time when you don't have a lot of responsibilities. This is the only time, probably the last time, that you're going to share your room. Because after you're like 25, 26, 27, you just want your own space. You have started working.
Pretty much. Until you meet someone and then you're like, yeah, I guess I'm sharing the room for the rest of my life.
So that's why all the amounts that we say is pretty low.
Yep.
Because I'm sure you would have experienced. We know people that they actually, their minimum expense in Melbourne is at least $2,500 to $3,000, and it's not something extraordinary. It's just that their $1,300 is just going in their rent.
Yep.
So it's just for students that these $1,000 or $1,200 that we say that they can manage it.
What sort of tips would you guys have for ways to save money in your research for making some of these videos? Have you found any unique or things that most people might not think about with regards to being able to save a bit of money here and there? Or is it just the standard stuff of don't eat out, don't buy extravagant stuff, and just, don't waste money on things you don't really need?
Yeah, so that's obviously, having said that is very important. And other thing is that I personally have started this only after coming here, because when you're in your own country, when life was very comfortable. So one thing that I learned was like, wait for sale if you want to buy something. Like, very simple. I would just go, I'm like, I like this, I'm gonna buy this, and I buy it. Yeah. And then I realized that it's $50 less.
Yeah.
I think, what did I just do? So just think about it. If you want to do something, there's gonna come a Boxing Day. All you gotta do is just wait for like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning if you want to buy that laptop.
I keep having those moments at the moment where I'm out, and I love my camera gear as well. As you can probably see, I've got a whole bunch of stuff, and I always walk into Ted's and check out their camera gear, and I'm like, crap, I really want it. Do I buy it? And I'm like, no, go home, get on the internet, you'll find it cheaper. You just have to wait 2 days for delivery. And I always end up saving like $60. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, that's so important. That's amazing. And it's just self-control, It's like, don't buy this right now. Just search for 2 hours, you'll find something, like 100%.
I think, we're almost trained right nowadays with social media and being able to get access to anything, anytime, to just not want to wait, right? A lot of the time, I think I have an idea, I want something, it's like, well, I've got money, I'll go do it, bam, and I don't think about it, I just do it. And it's like you have to retrain yourself to be patient, to be a little more frugal, to save money and not be so sort of wasteful.
True. In fact, what you said was, I think I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah, he's awesome.
United States, he said the exact same thing that you just said right now.
Well, was it him who's just saying, like, stop eating all the effing smashed avocados? And it's so true. Eating out in Australia is freaking ridiculous. Even for me, if I go out and I'm like, my God, 2 burgers and 2 beers, that was $65. Are you serious? Are you kidding me? And you could do that every day easily, if you had the money, but it adds up quickly.
Yeah, really good.
All right, guys. Well, finishing up, what's next for the channel, Melbourne Vibe? You guys are running out of cities to review with regards to living expenses. Where are you guys heading, and what are you going to be covering in the near future?
Actually, it's pretty exciting because Melbourne Vibe is actually turning into a startup, and that is going to provide one-stop solution for all international students, no matter where you're from.
Oh, good stuff.
So, like in near future, hopefully if you talk about accommodation, we'll be able to provide. If you talk about jobs, we'll be able to provide. You just name it, we have it.
So how are you planning to do that? Is it going to be something like a website, walk-in company, an app on the phone? Yeah,
so it obviously will be a website. Everything will be online. But as of now, we just don't, we don't want to reveal everything because it's in pipeline right now.
Sure.
But it's going to be a portal, and it's just basically going to make all those hundreds and thousands of students who are going to come to Australia every year, it's going to make their life easier. So that's what Melbourne Vibe started with. That's what we want to do. And that's what we're going to do it in near future.
Do you have any timeline on when that might be ready? If people are listening right now and they're like, oh man, I'm coming to Melbourne soon, how long do you think things will be up and running?
Well, we're basically going hard for the next 3 months. So we are working with basically a whole team at the moment to get this up and running, but we don't have, we have a deadline, but we don't have like a launch date at this stage.
Yeah, and in fact, the amazing thing is that I think a lot of people who are listening and planning to come to Melbourne is that Melbourne Vibe is launching and having a party, a meetup for all the new people that are going to come here in July. And that's something going to be very regular for the people who want to, hang out, meet people from all over the world. And yeah, so that's something pretty interesting happening in July. And
awesome. Yeah. So how can people find out about that? Obviously, you'll be mentioning this through social media. Where can people go to hear about the party?
The best thing to keep in contact with that would be to join our Facebook group, Melbourne Vibe - Study in Australia. Basically, because we can put announcements on there, and that's just going to go through to everyone's Facebook. If they don't have Facebook, there's obviously Instagram, Twitter. They can follow us on social media like that, or we'll announce it on YouTube as well.
Yay. Awesome, guys. Well, Jocelyn and Dave, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
It was lovely talking to you.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Awesome.
All right, guys, that was Melbourne Vibe, the team from Melbourne Vibe. Thank you so much again, David, and thank you so much again, Jocelyn. Remember, guys, if you want to find out more about these guys, if you want to check out their amazing videos, you can jump onto YouTube and just search Melbourne Vibe. That is 2 words, MELBOURNE, Melbourne. And the second word is Vibe, VIBE. Okay, and make sure you give them a thumbs up, give them a share, and give them a comment saying g'day from Aussie English. Anyway, guys, I hope that helps. I hope your stay in Australia is going really well. If you happen to be an overseas student who has just arrived and needs this kind of information, and if not, I hope it was still helpful. I hope you guys have an amazing week, and I'll chat to you soon. See ya.